In these problems, we are being asked to make equivalent fractions. And equivalent just means the same. They should equal the same thing. You can see that they have different denominators. The numbers on the bottom are different. And that makes it really hard because if the numbers on the bottom were the same, you could compare a couple of fractions. So if you had 1/4 and 3/4, for example, you could know that 3/4 is bigger than 1/4 because we're talking about the same thing. We're talking about fourths. Or if you had 3/4 and 3/4, you could see easily that those are the same thing. So how do we figure this out here? What we need to do is make this denominator the same as this one. The way we're going to do that is through multiplication. So we're going to multiply this 5 by something to turn it into a 30. And probably already you're thinking, oh, you need to multiply this by 6. And that's right. But the rules here of fractions say that we have to multiply the top and the bottom by the same thing in order to keep this the same number. I just can't multiply across the bottom and not do anything on the top. That would be a totally different fraction. So I multiply by 6 over 6. This is really the same as multiplying this fraction by the number 1. Anything over itself is 1. So we're not changing the value of this fraction. We're just changing the numbers that we express that value with. So when we multiply fractions, we multiply across the top and across the bottom. Across the bottom, 6 times 5, that equals 30. Aha, so we got that. Across the top, 6 times 3, that equals 18. So our equivalent fraction to 3/5 should be 18/30. But let's test it. I've got a little fraction tester here. We can put in 3/5 up here, and we can put in 18/30 down here. And 3/5 should show up in this box, and 18/30 should show up in this box. Let's see. There we go. We got 3/5, and this is 18/30, and yeah, they line up. They fill the same proportion of the two boxes. So these are definitely equivalent fractions. So we did that right. Let's try another one, and we're going to use this basic rule every time. We're going to multiply the top and the bottom of the one fraction here by the same number so that you get common denominators. So what's the number we want to multiply on this one? Well, we want to turn this 9 into a 45, so we have to multiply by 5. So 5 over 5, and multiplying across the bottom, 5 times 9 is 45. Across the top, 5 times 5 is 25. So 5/9 should be the same as 25/45, but let's test that again. So 5/9 and 25/45. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, there we go. They line up too. 5/9 and 25/45. Looks like we got that one right. And let's do this last one. 3/4 and some number of 24ths. So the question I ask is, what do I have to multiply this 4 by to get this 24? That's going to be 6. So then we multiply by 6 over 6. So across the bottom, 6 times 4 is 24. Across the top, 6 times 3 is 18. So 18/24 should be the same as 3/4. Let's test that one too. So here's 3/4, and here's 18/24. Let's see. Yep, and that lines up too. So these are indeed equivalent fractions.